This just in, breaking news, our top story, wait, hold on, this isn't actually news. People have been cheating at the tables for years now. And I'm not talking about just GTO Wizard. In fact, there was cheating going on since, well, probably as far back as poker goes. Sure, we've all seen the content about the biggest cheating stories over the last few years, mainly because you watch my channel, but cheating has originated in poker so long ago. In fact, there are many stories from the Wild West gambling saloon days where people would cheat knowing that they could get killed for doing so. In fact, even in one of poker's largest films, we saw scenes where some main characters engaged in this cheating practice.
Caught a hanger, Sarge.
The reality is, with money at stake, people are going to be willing to do whatever it takes to get that edge. But that's where this story comes up, and it's certainly an interesting one. Lately, we've started to see pictures or videos make the rounds where players have software on their phone showing what to be doing pre-flop in hands when it gets to them. With the World Series of Poker back in full swing, we're starting to see these stories once again come back up. In fact, this recent post from James Chen, Chip Burglar, said, caught a guy on GTO Wizard in the World Series of Poker 1K Mystery Millions, Flight A. First photo was taken at Paris, white section, table 194 at 5:39. I like the attention to detail, guys. This picture was not taken around 6. This picture was taken at 5:39. Anyway, despite the privacy screen protector, you can make out the GTO Wizard login screen. Second photo is for identification. More details below. James went on to tell the rest of his story. There was some back and forth with the player who defended himself. And ultimately, James went on to say that stuff like this isn't easy to spot, especially with privacy screen protectors. And in his next tournament, the floor person wouldn't know that he received a prior warning. It's too easy to get away with. Poker needs a database that tracks players' warnings and penalties. A lot to unpack here, but I want to start off with saying it appears to me from reading this that he had not yet even actually gone into the software yet. So maybe jumping the gun a little bit here on a full Twitter witch hunt. Don't get me wrong. If you guys want to get your pitchforks out, that's your right. But I feel like, at least for me personally, if I was going to blast someone this hard on social media, I probably would have waited for them to actually do the thing that you're saying that they're going to do. Just makes a little more sense to me. To have a better conversation on this topic, we need to understand the history when it comes to using assistance while you play. When I started playing poker, many people used pre-flop charts. In fact, it was highly encouraged that players do so because it helped you execute the strategy that you wanted to play. Now, back then it was a bit different. We didn't have actual computer solutions. You were just executing the version of what you thought was correct given those spots. Over time, as the solutions became stronger, the newer way of looking at this is any assistance from something that is not your own brain is real-time assistance and thus is cheating and should not be allowed at the tables. Now, even still, over the last few years, we've seen things like when I played my challenge versus Negreanu, where we both agreed to be able to use pre-flop charts. So I do think that as long as everyone's on the same page, then it's fine. If people all know and are allowed to use charts, that seems okay. And if we're going to have a strict clean no one can use them, which seems the most appropriate for live poker, then that's fine too. When I won my first World Series of Poker bracelet, at one point at level 3 or something like that, I was down to just 4 big blinds, at which point someone had a printed out sheet of jam ranges because I've never known how to play a short stack. And before every hand, I'd announce to the table what hand I'd be jamming where. We all laughed and made fun of my pitiful 4 big blind stack. Obviously, I didn't think I was cheating because I probably wouldn't have been announcing it at the table or doing it if I had thought that I was. I ended up doubling up a couple of times and I won the tournament, and the rest is history. As conversation began to swirl in the poker world, we saw the World Series of Poker respond, saying, quote, if caught using RTA GTO software during a hand, player will be subject to penalty up to and including DQ disqualification / trespass, WSOP said in a prepared statement. We reserve the right to further penalize a player for using RTA GTO in any other situation in our sole and absolute discretion. Players may continue to use their device to play WSOP.com or use the Caesars Sportsbook app while in or out of a hand. I like that, WSOP. Stick your ground. We have full discretion, but please continue to gamble on our sportsbook. Please. I'm just saying, we might ban you for trespassing, unless, of course, you're playing on WSOP.com, in which case, fully allowed. Did I mention we have a sports book? Poker News posted an article discussing this topic and showing one of the highlights for a moment that occurred last year from a player that if you watch Lodge streams, you might have seen before.
What are you talking about? You're using GTO Wizard. I see through your reflective sunglasses. You're using Wizard the whole time. I'm
One
saying you're
hand.
right.
Both of you.
You're using GTO Wizard the whole time,
And
bro.
what's your
You're in a
plan?
hand.
What's
So
your
why is it
plan?
unreasonable for me to using your right to ask you to stop using it respectfully? And you make a big deal out of it. You're acting like I'm the one who's tripping.
You're tripping.
He's using it the whole
You're
time.
tripping. We gotta talk this level. You're tripping.
I see through sunglasses. Every hand he's using it.
If you have an issue, you can call Paul.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So what happened?
You do not want to be the guy at the table using assistance while you're playing. And if I was the other guy, I'd probably be pretty upset if I saw someone using it too. The poker community was a bit divided on this, and people came in with some spicy hot takes, including this one from Phil Galfond, which said, let's be nice to this guy, and cheating is bad. From Phil Galfond, that's practically him telling you to go fuck yourself. Galfond's comments that using this between hands is ethical sparked outrage from many players, including Upswing Poker Pro Gary Blackwood, who said, entirely ethical, come on, man. It's a horrendous look and drives away fun players. If you're an amateur, do you go sit at the poker table with 6 guys using solvers, or the blackjack table where everyone is high-fiving each other every 4 minutes? It's a good take. Hard to disagree. Anyway, as far as I'm concerned, as bad as this looks, this is not the worst thing that Andrew Esposito has done. The worst thing that he's done happened on a stream at Lodge Card Club.
Put Doug in the top 3?
It's definitely.
You would put Doug in the top 3?
You would?
No, I want. Would you put Doug in?
Yeah.
Based on name recognition?
No,
or
Oh
based
my
on,
God, no, not
I
at
mean,
all.
I'm not a top 3 player in Austin. I can take that.
Yeah, but when he sets the lineup,
I'm a bum hunter.
So he's a bum hunter now. Not only is he a bad player, he's a bum hunter. Wow.
I mean, yeah, but I don't think that's unusual for poker. I think he would admit that's true too. I think he would admit that's true.
But it didn't really get me. But this comment was uncalled for.
He's definitely a great player, but like Phil Hellmuth was a great player in 1980, right?
Wow.
Right through the heart. I'm a lot of things, but I'm not Phil Hellmuth. We'll see if you're even around in 5 years, kid. Okay, we're getting off topic here. Let's get back to talking about cheating in poker using these types of solver and trainer apps. Clearly, based on community response, these things are making people play a lot better at poker, which is why you need to head over to upswingpoker.com and check out Lucid GTO. Up your game right now. Oh, actually, shit. No, maybe later. Yeah, you'll get better at poker, but you should do it later. Step away from the table. I'll put a link in the description below. The response to these cheating accusations has been loud, and many people have been looking for solutions. That includes tournament director Matt Savage, very well known in the world of poker, tweeting saying, with all the new AI technology, solvers, texting, and audio capabilities, are you ready for a ban of phones at the table? Is it even worth a discussion at upcoming Poker TDA Summit, June 29th and 30th? For those of you that don't know, Poker TDA is basically a conference that a lot of tournament directors go to talk about rules that make the most sense to run the most efficient tournaments and kind of make poker tournaments across the world a more smooth and enjoyable experience for customers. So he ran a poll here. Why or why not? No phones at the table won with 48%. Phones allowed 22%. Don't be dumb, impossible, 30%. And as a player and as someone that runs a poker room, it's very, very interesting to think about this because I think I can have a view of both sides. From the purely player perspective, I would prefer no phones. In fact, one of my favorite things about playing on Lodge's live stream is that when I go play, I put all my stuff in a locker because you're not allowed anything into the room, thanks to Robbie J. Lou. And then basically I can just lock in and play poker and enjoy my experience there. And it's like stepping away from all of the bullshit. I think maybe I might have more responsibilities than some people that I'm stepping away from, but it lets me just kind of play in the moment and appreciate and enjoy the experience. I'm probably the exception, though. I think most people, they either have a phone because they need to, or they think they need to, probably the second one, or they want to. And so from a player perspective, I really enjoy that. But from a card room perspective, if 1 out of 3 or 1 out of 4 players is not going to play because they want to have their phone on them, I just don't think you can really execute that rule. I mean, maybe we do like a test tournament, a no phones tournament, and just see what happens. No phones in this tournament. Do you guys think that's a good idea? Let me know in the comments below. But back to this issue. Tom Dwan weighed in on this issue as well, saying no phones is annoying. Some people have stuff to do. My issue is with the security theater side of it. If you allow people devices which could easily have signaling inside them while prohibiting phones, it doesn't really make the game safer and just inconveniences players. I don't think that too many people are worried about signaling in a normal World Series of Poker type environment. Signaling certainly could potentially be an issue on some streams for poker. Not that I can think of any off the top of my head. I'm just saying hypothetically it might happen. It could have occurred, possibly. And then maybe there's possibly an example of someone using a phone that may or may not have been engaged in cheating at a certain place in Northern California. Anyway, the point stands. No phones is annoying, and it certainly doesn't make it impossible to cheat, although it does make it a lot more difficult. Matt Berkey weighed in as well, saying, wait, hold on. I'm old enough to remember the early 2000s when phones were, in fact, banned at the table. Most rooms forced you to leave the poker room entirely to make a call or send a text, a brand new capability back then. It was a huge annoyance then, and phones had a 1/1000th the function they have now. I don't know what the answer is, but I feel strongly over policing. Berkey didn't know what the answer is, but feels strongly. Some things never change. Amongst many bad takes we saw being fired off on the subject, we saw one from Sam Greenwood saying, being on GTO Wizard or equivalent at the table should be punished harshly, but the below is much worse for game integrity and having fun at the table. Showing someone with their phone, vlogging their action while playing. Couple things I want to say about this, but I want to start off with the disconnect between the high stakes world and the rest of the poker playing community. As someone that has been in both, I've played high stakes both online and in live tournaments, the highest stakes, or some of the highest stakes rather. And then I've also done a lot of public stuff like YouTube, running a card room, running a training site, that kind of stuff. There's just this massive disconnect where I feel like the high stakes world doesn't really understand a lot of things, and vice versa as well. But this image has done so much for poker over the last 5-10 years. Guys like Brad Owen, Andrew Nemi, Mariano, Rampage, these guys have done so much to help grow poker and build poker and bring people into poker. Content is what makes this look interesting. Let me give you a great example. Think about the main event, right? The World Series of Poker main event. As awesome as it all was, what really put it over the edge? It was being advertised and being produced and being shown on ESPN. People saw people playing poker, saw the prize pools, saw the hands, saw things. If you do not have a content machine for the game of poker, you are not going to be bringing in new people in a more wide setting like on YouTube or like on social media. You need that content to help drive that engagement. So I think there needs to be a little bit of appreciation for what this content type, this content form has done to help recreate a new poker boom that we've seen in the last 5 years. COVID definitely helped, but content did a lot as well. And then the other part of this take that I disagree with is if I see someone doing this, then I'm thinking, oh, they're not cheating. Because have you ever tried to vlog while playing? It is impossibly hard. I did it a few times. I did a couple stupid shorts on my channel, and I just gave up. I'm like, this is just too hard. I just can't. I'm just not capable. This person is recording their hole cards. So to cheat with this, you'd have to get every person, every action, and the camera angles are hard to get right. And then you have to have someone, I guess, texting you, but you can't alt-tab because you're recording. So they'd have to pop up on your screen telling you what to do as you're doing it with no one catching you. And as we all saw earlier, you're going to get caught for fucking logging into GTO Wizard.
You're using GTO Wizard. I see you through your reflective sunglasses. You're using Wizard the whole time.
So when I see this, I think, oh, good, someone that's not cheating. Good luck looking up your sims while you're rolling the camera. Okay, we've beaten this story into the ground, but there was actually another incident where someone was caught using GTO Wizard while playing their hand. Roll the clip. That's right. This guy was using GTO Wizard while he was in a hand at the Orleans. The biggest development here is that someone was trying to play poker well at the Orleans. This tweet from Big Kev Myers 2, got a lot of people upset on Twitter with what's going on in their poker tournaments. For example, James Chen, Chip Burglar, once again, aka the Sheriff, 100% cheating. Drop the hammer, send the jail boys. We got him.
You're using GTO Wizard. I see you through your reflective sunglasses. You're using Wizard the whole time.
Both of you
You're using
settle down for
GTO
a
Wizard the
second.
whole time, bro.
I'm confused about posts like this one from El Cabron. Why would you care? At least you know his ranges. They're optimal ranges. You know, I feel like the year is going to be 2050, and we're going to be like, what's better, exploitative or GTO? It's like, oh my God. If you play optimal, you can't be beaten. Let's not go down that road. Let's stick to this. And I got a couple things I got to say. Zooming out big picture to close, I don't see it being reasonable to ban phones at the table unless there was just an overwhelming support from the community to do so. So I don't think that's a reasonable solution. I don't think it would be crazy to ban people from using phones during a hand. What do you guys think about that one? That might be acceptable. Not entirely sure. I do think that it is interesting to talk about whether you're using this kind of software in a hand or at the table. I think you should just not be allowed to use any kind of software or training stuff or charts or whatever at the table. I just think it's a bad precedent to allow people to be looking stuff up between hands. It just creates a bad environment where people are on their phone trying to get smaller edges on their opponents. I just don't really like that. So that could be reasonable, in my opinion. What should the penalty be for using a trainer in the middle of a game or a hand? I think if it's in the middle of a hand, I just think, honestly, you should just DQ them. If someone's playing a hand and they have a software solver open, that should be an automatic DQ. I think we can all get behind that. If it's between hands, I wouldn't mind a warning, maybe the first time. But I do think that longer term, that shouldn't be allowed as well. I wish I could tell you I have all the answers. I don't. Because if I did, probably wouldn't be making YouTube videos, would I?
We do ask you to please do not use any type of poker solvers
Using GTO Wizard.
at the table or in
I see you through your reflective sunglasses. You're using Wizard the whole time.
using one of these poker solvers.
You're
using GTO Wizard the whole time, bro.
From this tournament.
See you guys again soon.